Hey, everybody, welcome to the T3 Fit Scoliosis podcast. On today's episode, we have Lou Faustin. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Yes.
She is a former bodybuilder, physique, I believe, uh,
Figure.
figure,
Mhm.
and she is from Belgium, and she has scoliosis, and she's going to tell us her story from the time she was diagnosed to competing and to the present. So I would like to welcome Lou to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This is amazing. I know that we bonded with scoliosis. Imagine that, right?
Yeah.
It's something that I remember not wanting to talk about, and that you don't realize how many people have it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have it, and they just don't know. It's just a mild curve,
Hmm.
and you can hide it if you want. Um, But with me, there's no hiding it. I'm on stage as a bodybuilder. I still compete. I think I'm going to go back on stage as of next year. It's been 4 years since I last competed,
Okay.
and I'm ready to get back on stage. I'm excited. I'm excited. So we found out that I had scoliosis when I was I was maybe in ninth grade. My sister was behind me, and we were on the same track team in high school, and I'm stretching, I'm reaching for my toes, and she comes behind me and she's like, "Why is your back like that?" In front of everyone. And I was
Thanks,
like,
sis.
"Yeah, right?" I was like, "What are you talking about? My back is just like yours." She's like, "No, no, no, no." And I was actually, I'll get back to it, but I went home. My sister showed my parents. I did the bent over, touched my toes, and my parents were like, "Wait, what's going on here?" We ended up going to see an orthopedic surgeon, went to go see a chiropractor. And I remember just going through the whole motions of seeing these different people and their different viewpoints on how
Hmm.
it could be corrected, how it could be fixed, and all these false promises on certain things that some folks could and really couldn't do. I remember the love-hate relationship. I would say the hate relationship between the chiropractor and the orthopedic surgeon. The chiropractor said, through cracking, we'll make your curve disappear. And I'm like, yay, okay. Mind you, I was maybe what, 14, 15 years old.
Hmm. Hmm.
And the orthopedic surgeon was like, no, we got to go in there. We got to fuse the spine. We got to go with the surgeries. And my father was like, no, 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 no. And it was interesting because I went through the feelings of, I always do the sit and reach test. I always do the bend over and touch your toes test going to school
Hmm.
every year for my complete physical. No one found this. And it wasn't just overnight that my back started to,
Yeah. It's
become
not what,
this way. No, exactly.
yeah.
So I went through that hatred or that anger towards my general practitioner. I was like, why couldn't you fix this? Why couldn't you have
Hmm.
found this
Hmm.
earlier? And it was annoying because I remember as a kid, I was always shifting my weight to one side of my body. And I would stand with like my foot on the other foot. It was really weird. My mom called me like, I looked like a hen, I looked like a chicken. I would always prop one foot on the other.
Okay.
And I realize now, getting older and realizing that it's scoliosis, that I was just shifting my weight just
Hmm.
to make myself be able to stand for a long period of time. And you don't think about this stuff. I was an athlete. I've been an athlete my entire life, track and field, soccer, and I just didn't want to be defeated. I didn't want to feel like I had to, this is what defined me. I remember getting a separate set of books for school because they were
Yep.
like, you couldn't have a heavy backpack. You have to, basically baby it. And that's what I didn't like.
Yeah.
Honestly, I did not like that.
Was this all
And
in the States? This was
this
happening?
was this was the States, yeah, this is in the
Okay.
States, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, in New York.
Okay.
And it was really frustrating because again, I did not want to be that kid that was different in
Hmm.
school. I didn't want
Hmm.
to be the target of this. I mean, I'm an athlete, I was like, I could never show weakness.
Yeah.
And growing, and I'm realizing it's not weakness, it's just how my body was, and it's just how my body still is. Um, Fast forward to, the years of going to see the chiropractor. We chose to do the chiropractors instead of the orthopedic surgeon. Because I also told my parents, I said, I just don't feel comfortable with the um, the procedure. In addition to that, the chiropractor was actually a family friend, and I think he also was in the ear of my parents. Was like, "Don't do it." And I know that I know you got the surgery,
Yeah.
and I just couldn't get it just for myself. I said, you know what? Let me try everything that I could possibly try right now to see if this is something that I can do later on in life, or if I can work on building the muscles around my spine, and we'll see how it is.
How old were you when this was
I
when
was
this
14, 15 years
Okay.
old, I want to say,
Okay.
when I was diagnosed. And we were just it was just weekly trips. My father would drive me to see my chiropractor once a week. We get realigned, readjusted, and I felt great.
Hmm.
Little did I know that it really wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
Uh, but it was just the thought. It was just the action of doing it. It felt like it was a placebo effect. I
Hmm.
felt like I was doing something.
Hmm.
Uh, and I started working out when I was hitting the gym around the same time.
Okay.
And I felt strong. I felt empowered. And I've never looked back. I've never looked back. And I remember when I got into my 20s, I remember even before that, bodybuilding was something that fascinated me. I loved muscle on a woman's physique. I loved muscle. I just loved the strong, almost cartoonish look
Hmm.
that I would see action figures,
Okay.
how women would be portrayed as action figures. And I said, you know what? I love it. I was 12 years old and I remember saying that I wanted to have visible veins in my arms and my biceps showing. And that was and
Passionate
so
at a young age.
I absolutely was. And I remember my father getting a membership at Planet Fitness and he was like, "You want to come?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I was his gym buddy from
Okay.
the age that I was diagnosed when I found the scoliosis
When you
until actually no, I'm lying. I went to the gym before that, actually.
Okay. When
Yeah.
you were diagnosed, were you in pain when your sister like looked at your
None.
back? There was no pain.
No
And
pain.
and do you remember what your curves were when you were diagnosed?
I don't. I
Okay.
don't. But I
Okay.
remember the X-rays and my curve is an S.
Okay.
So I have an S curve.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
But no
Mhm.
pain,
None.
started
None.
working out, felt amazing,
Yep.
got back control, which is it's such a valuable point. And you said something earlier which has slipped out of my mind. But well, the two, the chiropractor and the orthopedic, like fighting against each other.
Mhm. Mhm.
And this happens so much because nobody listens to the initial person. Everybody's
Yep.
an expert in their department, which is
Mhm.
great, but
Mhm.
the patient gets lost along the way. So
Mhm.
you were like, you know
Mhm.
what, I'm not going to do that, with the support of your parents. And you
Mhm.
started taking off and working out and got into bodybuilding. And how was that, as you started to see your muscles and possibly your veins popping out?
Yeah. You know what? It was definitely it was a punch in the gut in the beginning
Okay.
because bodybuilding is all about symmetry, right? You have to be the most symmetrical on stage. And I remember learning the poses I started out as a bikini competitor, so I was a
Hmm.
lot smaller than I am now. So with the bikini competitive competitions and the athletes, you can have the long hair and you can hide your back. And that's why I did it in the beginning. I said, "Oh, I could just be pretty on stage. I can have some muscle, and I can hide my back." Uh, because you don't move your hair out of your back to show the back
Okay.
muscles. You just
Okay.
show your back, and it's just they're mostly looking at the glutes and the legs, and that's it. So I was like, "This is great." And then I kept building muscle, and then I grew out of that division, and I wanted to. And it was just learning the poses for the mandatory poses required for a figure competitor. You have to move the hair out of the way. You have to show your back. You have to open up the back to show the muscle and the density and the thickness of your back.
Hmm.
And that scared me. And I remember, and I have my first stage shots of my first competition ever in the States. You can see the curve. And I did not win that show. I remember getting the feedback from the judges and them saying, "Oh, you're beautiful. You've got a grace. You light up on stage,
But
but you're back." And I
okay.
was so upset. I felt I felt broken because I spent the last couple of months and years envisioning that me being on stage in the States, my parents were there, my sister came, I had family friends that came and they were like, "Oh, Lou's on stage,
Yeah.
first show that she did here in the United States." Uh, and the feedback wasn't good. And I was gutted. Before that, I ended up doing shows in Belgium and I was crowned the Miss Fitness Belgium title
Okay.
because I didn't have to also move my hair. So it was different federation, different set of judging, different set of rules. And I looked great on stage
Hmm.
from the front without moving my hair. So did it stop me? No, no. I hired
Yeah.
a posing coach. I said, take my coins, take my money. I'm gonna I'm gonna do this. I was like, I'm gonna do this. And
Hmm.
I remember talking to my mom and her seeing some of my photos from back in Belgium. And she was like, why are you not competing again? Because I remember it took me a year or two to get back on stage at that point. She's like, why are you not competing? What, did you forget how to compete? And I'm like, No. Here's this little Haitian lady who's telling me that you know what I mean? She knows nothing about bodybuilding,
Yeah.
but she supported my journey. And I'm super grateful for that. And I remember whatever money that I had at the time was just getting out of college. I was broke. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get a posing coach. And bodybuilding is a very expensive sport. I hired a posing coach on top of a regular coach, on top of a nutritionist, on top of all this stuff.
Hmm.
And I said, you know what? We're gonna work on this. We're gonna work on this. And I realized that I am no different from a lot of these girls on stage who just know how to pose their body. And you find those poses that are right for you. Maybe I'm not opening up as wide as these girls, or
Hmm.
maybe my arm is a little bit higher on the left side,
Hmm.
so it hides the curve on the right side.
Hmm.
Or maybe I'm not leaning too far forward to show that. Or maybe I'm just standing a little straighter, not to show it. Or maybe I'm on my toes on one side of on one leg or what have you.
Yeah.
But these are little tricks that you learn along the way through experience and through proper posing and through
Hmm.
proper instruction.
So you just
And
had to exaggerate the poses where
yeah,
necessary so that you didn't look off
yeah,
center or
yeah,
distorted
yeah,
for the
yeah,
judges.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
so interesting. It's so interesting. And when you talk about, I can, I can relate with the, when you had the judge who said, but you're back.
Hmm.
Because I auditioned when I was a teenager. I had already had my surgery and I auditioned for LaGuardia High School for ballet.
Oh,
And they saw my scar and they
really?
said no. Yeah.
The
And
scar?
they saw my scar and they said no.
Oh,
And it cut me like a knife, pun intended, in multiple ways. It
the
stopped my
scar.
it stopped my career of dance.
That's insane. Not even that there was no curve. It was just
Oh,
the scar.
yeah, it was the scar, but they knew what was behind the scar.
Oh my God. Did you perform like there was a scar?
Well, I don't have flexibility, so I can't extend back.
Oh, but was that the defining factor? Was it the flexibility or was it?
It was just that I was limited. I have spinal limitations. And
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
ballet, that doesn't work. And they saw the scar and they were like, yeah, sorry, thanks, no.
You know what's interesting though is I've come across ballerinas with scoliosis.
Hmm.
And
Paige.
it, yes, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. And it's not a I'm upset at that.
It's I get it. I get it. When but you have this force that drives you. And that's why I wanted to bring you on the show, because in the 5 minutes of time that we spoke previously about this
Hmm.
at our friend's birthday party, it was
Hmm.
kind of like, oh, you have scoliosis, cool. you
Yeah.
know, but it can be, the physical part we already know about, but the
Yeah,
mental debilitations that
yeah,
come sometimes with scoliosis weigh far more than the curves. And
absolutely.
the fact of what you have gone through, and to get to the point of competing and still competing with your
Yeah.
curves, I think it's worth its weight in gold. and
Yeah. Thank you.
for people, absolutely, and for people to hear that and say, hey, she can do that. And this one, whoever, whoever's on the show, but you're coming out here and you're like, the tricks that you had to learn, the
Hmm.
posing of the hair,
Hmm. Yeah.
it's just really interesting. And I think that it has a lot to offer to people if if somebody wants to get into bodybuilding,
100%.
like,
100%. Yeah.
but it's
And I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, no, go.
Another thing is I'm also a powerlifter. And lifting heavy, we're told don't lift heavy. It's gonna mess you up. It's not. Well, a woman with scoliosis or a person in general should not be deadlifting, shouldn't be squatting, shouldn't be doing any of these things.
Mhm.
Avoid the gym. And no, no,
Make the gym your
no,
best
no.
friend.
Yes, yes, yes. I remember meeting my boyfriend who's a powerlifter, and he didn't see the curve, right? And I was fortunate that I built the muscle around the back. So of course, and we tell this to anyone, no one's gonna start picking up 200 pounds without
Yeah,
any proper,
yeah.
muscle or whatever development. Um, but I had built up enough muscle around my body to be able to be in a position to currently now deadlift 440 pounds. Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
watch.
Yeah. But another thing is, and this goes hand in hand with the bodybuilding, of course, it's just aesthetics. You're looking at the body, the physique, you're critiquing just that, but performance as well. We are not nothing. We are not crippled. We are not handicapped. We are able to move. This is
Mhm.
something that we should not feel limited by that curve or our curves. And that's what
Yeah,
if anyone takes anything away from this, it's not just to become a bodybuilder or be a powerlifter, but wear that open back shirt. Put your hair up. Let people see your back.
yeah.
Wear that bikini. People are going to talk anyway. But if you're comfortable and you're confident in what you have on, it's so much that you're wearing a bikini on stage and you're letting a judge pick apart your physique, go for it.
You can if you can let that happen, you can do
Exactly.
anything. Yeah, don't
Exactly.
let
If
don't
that's
let your curves define you.
100%, 100%. And I will say this: there are two. I would love for you to research this as well if you want, or some folks who are curious about this. The powerlifter who was one of the strongest men. He's still alive. He's 63 years old now. His name is Lamar Grant.
Mhm.
He was one of, and probably still is in his weight class, the had the heaviest deadlift pull at 123 pounds. I believe he pulled 600 pounds in competition at a tested federation. Yep.
Wow.
So, uh-huh.
Yeah.
Now, that goes to one side of what I do. Back to the bodybuilding. Figure Olympia. So the Olympia is the biggest show in the bodybuilding calendar for the biggest federation. It's what
Okay.
Arnold Schwarzenegger won
Okay.
uh, 7 times. The woman who actually pushed me to continue to compete and to get back into competing as of this next year, she is the 5-time winner of the Olympia for figure.
Okay.
She has scoliosis. Her name is Sydney Gillian.
Okay. That's
She
awesome.
has
Yeah.
scoliosis. She won 5 times, and she won just last month.
Any questions?
And you can see the curve on stage, but guess what? She still won.
Yeah. It's come a long way.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like those stories, you hear them and you're like, it's so
yeah,
different from when we were kids, you know. It
yeah.
the taboo is slowly diminishing, and people are
Yeah.
becoming like way more accepting of it.
Hmm.
It's it's really nice to hear
Oh, 100%.
because you had it when they told you about your back. I had it, there's other people that have had it on the podcast, and we cry. There's still points where it's still dark in our life.
Yeah,
um
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's like it's really heartwarming to hear what's going on. Did anybody ever suggest any type of therapy for you for your scoliosis, specifics therapy?
No,
Okay.
no,
Okay.
no. I mean, I got into Pilates reformer.
We
Um,
talked about that as well.
Yeah. I got into that because of it. And I remember the whole lengthening of the spine and this and that.
Yeah.
And Pilates was great for me to teach. It was great for me to know. It was great for me to be for, body awareness.
Hmm.
But I prefer lifting heavy weights. I prefer lifting.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that being able to try it yourself, try both of them yourself,
Hmm.
is key. There is no one size fits all, but I think by me telling someone that for me, I would prefer lifting weights over Pilates
Hmm.
doesn't make it a reality for the next person or for someone who's listening to this.
Yeah.
I always say, try it out. So if there are therapies or something that you've tried that you're
Right.
open to sharing, then
Yeah.
I try it.
Well, the
Yeah.
great thing is that, I love that we can incorporate different things. Like you can take some of the Pilates and you can bring it into your
Yes.
clients with weight training, with bodybuilding.
Hmm.
And if
Yeah.
it's just using your body and it's their first time, they're in for a rude awakening
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
it goes
Yeah.
deep.
Yeah.
It goes
Yeah.
deep. And
Yeah.
I mean, I got certified in mat Pilates because it quote unquote made me feel normal. Just,
Ah,
the movements. I was like,
yeah.
oh, I don't feel like I'm
Yeah.
fused and I don't feel like I have
Mm,
hardware fused to my
mm,
spine. And
mhm,
so, but Lou, quick question. If somebody would
mhm.
like to find you on Instagram or on social media, where is the best place that they can reach out to you?
Sure. My Instagram, it's my name. It's Lou Faustin Pro. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lou, I'd like to thank you for being a guest on the T3 Fit Scoliosis podcast. We agreed that we connected for like 5 minutes
Yeah.
at our at our friend's birthday party, and we were like, "Let's party! We have scoliosis." But I
No,
just
it was.
wanted, yeah, I just wanted to say thanks for coming on and talking about your story, because if one, five, however many people hear your story, if it gives them the physical as well as emotional and mental strength to carry on, then it's one, five, however many people more than we had before. So I just want to say thank you for letting us into your world of competition, because I personally don't know anybody who has scoliosis who competes, but I'm happy to say that I do now. So Lou, I'd like to thank you for being a guest on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is a learning thing for me as well. Being able to just openly talk about it with someone who knows exactly what you're feeling and how you felt. And it's something that I wish that I had spoken about it sooner.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully it
Yeah,
becomes more contagious in our area.
hopefully. Yeah. Thank you.